Hey, it's Mike from drive8a.com, and today we're going to go over image resolution, the difference between 72 dpi and 300 dpi, which people seem to have a really hard time figuring out. Simplest terms, dpi is dots per inch, basically just means the amount of dots that make up the image and the color inside of it, which I'll show you in a bitmap in a second, or a JPEG. 72 dpi means that there's 72 dots in that inch. 300 dpi means that there's 300 dots in an inch. Obviously, you have more dots with more color spectrum, it's going to make it more detailed. If you have less, then it's going to make it not as detailed. And that's why 72 is used on the web, because it doesn't need to be very detailed. And 300 needs to be used in print because you need to have a lot of detail to have a very crisp photo that can be printed or print ad or whatever it's going to be. It just needs to be this. One way to show you would be to kind of use this image of a goat. And what I'm doing right here is in this goat, let me hide this. In the goat, it's literally a photo that's an inch. It's 1 inch by 1 inch. It's 300 dpi, it's pixels per inch, and it's 300 wide. Now, if I were to take this same image in order to duplicate it, so duplicate this layer into a document new, hit OK. Right now, before I do that, if I just zoom in on this, you can see that this is what I'm talking about. These are all the dots. And you can see there's this color spectrum to make up the detail. And it doesn't just go from this light brown to this dark brown because it wouldn't have so much definition. And that's what it needs to kind of just blend all together. And there's a very detailed photo, namely this eye as well. If you zoom in on it, there's this hue of browns and greens and a little bit of blues and blacks and all that, but it doesn't just jump from one color to the next. It has to take steps to get there, and that's why within this space, no, wrong one. In this space, you're saying, like, let's say this was an inch, even though the photo's an inch. In that area, you have all of these dots that make up these colors that make it more defined. And if I were to zoom out and go over to the image that we duplicated. So let's say that you are not the duplicate. Boo, boo, boo. Let's get rid of you. Yeah, don't save. Okay, this guy right here. Let's duplicate you. You are 300. Okay, let's go to duplicate layer. Let's go to a new and hit OK. Now, as you can see, they look fine. Now, how if I zoom? If I took the image size and I made it to resolution to 72, you see it's going to drop down the width and the height to be 72 pixels. And if I hit OK, now we shrunk the image, but if I expand it, you're going to see there's less color information, and you're already seeing that it is not as defined as this image right here. You can clearly see the difference. And then what I'm saying is that even in this image, if we were to zoom in, it's not, see, there's less dots in this area, so there's not as many dots making up the color scheme, and that's why it has to take steps. So it's not as, it's just jumping from this blue, green, I don't know, guys are somewhat colorblind, I guess they say. But from going from here to here to here, it doesn't step into it. But if I go to the other one and I zoom in on the eye, there's a lot more dots that are happening. Where in this one right here, you've got this many, and in this one, go out more. Come on, buddy. There we go. So if you got this area, there's a lot more color information happening in here. You can even see it. There's a lot more dots in here. And if I go back over to this one and I do that same area, there's a lot less dots, and that's what it basically means. Hopefully that's helpful. If you have any questions, you can ask Wade in the description wherever this video is posted. You can also feel free. Actually, you know what? Real quick, too, just another visualization. If I get rid of these guys, Now, if I did a new image and I did paper, I made it 300 dpi. All right, hit OK. And if I were to do the same exact thing and do paper, and I was going to make it 72 dpi, come on, there we go. And it's keeping the width and the height. Hit OK. Now, it looks like they're the same size. So if I had these both in front of me as paper, I'd say, oh, okay, well, they're the same size. That's why Photoshop sometimes will kind of throw you off, and it did in the beginning when I used it. But if I fill this with black and I make it its own layer, if I drag this on here, you'll literally see that it's smaller, like right there. that is just showing you that that image is smaller. And if I had taken an image of a picture I took, let's say it was on my iPhone and I brought it in, I want to get it printed. Usually you're taking a 300 dpi, but if it was taken in a smaller image and I scale it up, it's going to get blurry. So let's say I go back, if I take the copy this guy, if I were to paste this dude in here, there he goes. All right, and if I zoom in, you know, there's the detail. That's fine at this point. It's fine. However, if I zoom out and if I take, you're like, oh, I just got to fill that area. Well, if you start doing that, you already see that it's getting blurry. You know, so it's not as defined. So you see, like you zoom in and it starts getting a lot blurrier. It's not as crisp, like I said. But yeah, that is it. If you have any like questions, like I said, comment, add any questions in the comment section where this video is posted. You can also email me at mike@drive80.com. And I also I have a Facebook group that talks about this. If you just look up Make Adobe Non-Scary, look that up in Facebook. You'll be able to sign up for the group. It's free, and you can ask questions in there and do video tutorials like this that help people. But hopefully that made sense to you. Thank you.